Stop being vulnerable. 7 Stoic shields to protect yourself. Stoicism. In a world where kindness is often mistaken for weakness, where being open-hearted is seen as an invitation for exploitation, and where showing any sign of vulnerability feels like painting a target on your back, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Do we close our hearts and become cynical, or is there a better way? What if I told you that the ancient Stoics discovered a path that allows you to remain good-hearted while becoming unshakable? A way to be compassionate without being taken advantage of, generous without being depleted, and strong without being cold. Today, I'll reveal 7 powerful Stoic shields that will protect you from those who would exploit your good nature while preserving the very qualities that make you admirable. These aren't walls that shut out the world, but intelligent defenses that allow good people in while keeping predators at bay. You don't have to choose between being good and being strong. The Stoics knew this secret, and today you'll learn it too. Let's begin without further delay. Shield 1. Master the art of selective vulnerability. The first and perhaps most crucial shield is learning when to be vulnerable and when to protect yourself. Vulnerability isn't weakness, but vulnerability without wisdom is dangerous. The Stoics understood that showing our authentic selves is powerful, but doing so indiscriminately is foolish. Think about this. When you share your deepest fears, dreams, and struggles with everyone, you're essentially handing out weapons that can be used against you later. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world, and not everyone has earned the right to your complete transparency. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively in his personal journal, but notice what he did. He kept those thoughts private during his lifetime. He was vulnerable with himself and with those he trusted completely, but he maintained appropriate boundaries with others. The key is to develop what I call graduated vulnerability. This means you reveal different levels of yourself to different people based on their trustworthiness, their intentions, and their track record with you. Your casual acquaintances get surface-level conversation. Your good friends get deeper insights. Your closest allies get access to your full truth. Start paying attention to how people handle the small vulnerabilities you share. Do they use your words against you later? Do they gossip about what you've told them? Do they show genuine care and respect for what you've shared? Their response to minor openness tells you everything about how they'll handle major revelations. Practice what the Stoics called reserve, not coldness, but thoughtful restraint. You can be warm, friendly, and engaging without revealing everything about yourself. In fact, people often respect you more when you maintain some mystery, when you don't immediately spill your entire life story. Remember, vulnerability is a gift you give, not an obligation you owe. Choose wisely who receives this gift, and you'll find that your openness becomes more powerful, not less, because it's intentional rather than compulsive. Shield 2. Develop unshakable inner standards. The second shield is perhaps the most powerful, developing a set of inner standards that nobody can manipulate or compromise. When you know exactly what you stand for and what you won't tolerate, you become incredibly difficult to exploit or manipulate. Most people who get taken advantage of suffer from unclear boundaries. They haven't defined for themselves what behavior they will and won't accept, so they end up accepting treatment that gradually erodes their self-respect and peace of mind. Epictetus, who knew something about standing firm under pressure, taught that we must have clear principles that guide our actions regardless of external circumstances. He said, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." This applies beyond material wealth. Emotional wealth consists not in being loved by everyone, but in maintaining your standards regardless of others' reactions. Start by writing down your non-negotiables. What behaviors will you absolutely not tolerate from others? What treatment do you refuse to accept? What standards do you hold for yourself regardless of what others do? Be specific. Instead of, "I want to be treated with respect," write, "I will not." Engage with people who interrupt me repeatedly, dismiss my opinions without consideration, or speak to me in a condescending tone. The magic happens when you consistently enforce these standards. The first few times will be challenging because manipulative people will test your boundaries. They'll push to see if you really mean what you say. They might escalate their behavior, play victim, or try to make you feel guilty for having standards. This is where Stoic strength comes in. You maintain your standards not because it's easy, but because they define who you are. Marcus Aurelius faced enormous pressure as emperor to compromise his principles for political expediency, but he held firm to his philosophical standards, even when it was inconvenient. When you have unshakable inner standards, something beautiful happens. You start attracting people who respect boundaries, and you naturally repel those who don't. Your life becomes populated with individuals who appreciate your strength, rather than those who seek to exploit your flexibility. Remember, having standards isn't about being rigid or unreasonable. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to accept treatment that contradicts that worth. People who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. Those who don't respect your boundaries don't truly care about you. Shield 3. Master the power of detached observation. The third shield is developing the ability to observe people and situations with emotional detachment before getting deeply involved. The Stoics called this reserve judgment, the practice of gathering information before forming strong opinions or emotional attachments. Too often we get emotionally invested in people before we truly understand their character, their intentions, and their patterns of behavior. We project our own goodness onto others, assuming they share our values and motivations. This projection makes us vulnerable because we're making decisions based on who we think someone is, rather than who they actually are. Seneca advised observing people in different situations before trusting them completely. How do they treat service workers? How do they speak about mutual friends when those friends aren't present? How do they handle stress, disappointment, or conflict? Do their actions align with their words over time? Practice what I call friendly distance with new people in your life. Be pleasant, be helpful, be kind, but don't immediately open your heart completely. Watch and learn. Notice patterns. Pay attention to consistency between their words and actions. This doesn't make you cynical, it makes you wise. The Stoics weren't pessimistic about human nature, but they were realistic. They understood that people reveal their true character over time and through their responses to various situations. Detached observation also helps you recognize red flags early. When someone shows you who they are through their behavior, believe them the first time. Don't make excuses for them, don't rationalize their actions, and don't assume they'll change just for you. This shield is particularly powerful because it allows you to make clear-headed decisions about relationships before you're emotionally compromised. Once you're deeply emotionally invested, it becomes much harder to see clearly and much more painful to make necessary changes. Practice observing without immediately judging, but also without ignoring what you observe. Gather data. Look for patterns. Trust your instincts when they warn you about someone, even if you can't articulate exactly why something feels off. Shield 4. Implement strategic reciprocity. The fourth shield involves understanding and implementing the principle of strategic reciprocity. This means matching the energy, effort, and investment that others show toward you, rather than always being the one who gives more than they receive. Many good-hearted people operate from a place of unconditional giving. They're always the first to offer help, the first to make plans, the first to check in, the first to forgive, and the first to make sacrifices. While generosity is admirable, one-sided generosity creates imbalanced relationships that often lead to resentment and exploitation. The Stoics understood balance in relationships. Marcus Aurelius wrote about justice as giving people what they deserve, not more, not less. This doesn't mean being calculating or keeping score in a petty way, but it does mean being aware of reciprocity patterns and adjusting your investment accordingly. Here's how strategic reciprocity works. Match people's energy and investment over time. If someone consistently takes days to respond to your messages, don't always respond to theirs immediately. If someone rarely initiates contact, don't always be the one reaching out. If someone is unwilling to make sacrifices for you, be cautious about making sacrifices for them. This isn't about being petty or manipulative. It's about creating balanced, healthy relationships. When you consistently give more than you receive, you actually enable others to take advantage of you while preventing them from developing their own capacity for giving and reciprocity. Notice how different people respond when you pull back slightly. Healthy people will notice and increase their own investment to maintain balance. Exploitative people will either demand that you return to overgiving or will fade away entirely when they realize you're not easily exploited. Strategic reciprocity also helps you identify who truly values your presence versus who simply values what you provide. The people who only contact you when they need something will become obvious when you stop being constantly available. The people who genuinely care about you will maintain connection even when you're not actively pursuing them. This shield doesn't make you cold or calculating. It makes you discerning. You learn to invest your precious time, energy, and emotional resources in people and relationships that offer genuine mutual value rather than one-sided benefit. Shield 5. Develop emotional self-sufficiency. The fifth shield is perhaps the most liberating. Developing emotional self-sufficiency so that your well-being doesn't depend on other people's approval, attention, or behavior. When you're emotionally self-sufficient, you become much harder to manipulate because manipulators lose their primary leverage over you. Epictetus, despite being a slave for much of his life, developed profound inner freedom through emotional self-sufficiency. He understood that external circumstances, including other people's behavior, couldn't touch his inner peace unless he allowed them to. Emotional self-sufficiency means several things. First, it means your self-worth isn't determined by others' opinions of you. You know your own value, and while you might consider feedback from trusted sources, you don't need constant validation to feel good about yourself. Second, it means your emotional state isn't dependent on others' moods or behavior. If someone is having a bad day and takes it out on you, you don't absorb their negativity. If someone withdraws their attention or approval, you don't spiral into self-doubt or desperate attempts to win them back. Third, it means you can enjoy solitude and don't need constant social stimulation or interaction to feel content. You become comfortable with your own company, which makes you less likely to tolerate poor treatment just to avoid being alone. Start by developing a rich inner life. Cultivate interests, hobbies, and goals that don't depend on other people. Build a relationship with yourself through journaling, meditation, reading, or creative pursuits. Learn to enjoy your own thoughts and company. Practice self-validation. Instead of seeking others' approval for your decisions, choices, or achievements, learn to acknowledge your own progress and celebrate your own wins. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissive of feedback, but it means developing internal sources of confidence and satisfaction. Create emotional anchors, activities, practices, or thoughts that restore your inner peace regardless of external circumstances. This might be morning meditation, evening walks, calling a trusted friend, or simply reminding yourself of your core values and accomplishments. When you're emotionally self-sufficient, you interact with others from a place of choice. Rather than need, you're generous because you want to be, not because you're desperately seeking approval. You maintain relationships because they add value to your life, not because you can't function without them. Shield 6. Master the art of strategic withdrawal. The sixth shield involves knowing when and how to withdraw from situations, relationships, or environments that consistently drain your energy or compromise your well-being. The Stoics understood that sometimes the wisest action is strategic retreat. Many people, especially those with good hearts, struggle with the concept of withdrawal. They feel guilty about distancing themselves from others, or worry that withdrawal is selfish or unkind. But the Stoics knew that preserving your own well-being isn't selfish. It's necessary for maintaining your ability to be good to others. Marcus Aurelius regularly withdrew from the demands of ruling an empire to reflect, write, and restore his inner balance. He understood that he couldn't serve others effectively if he didn't maintain his own philosophical and emotional health. Strategic withdrawal doesn't mean completely cutting people off at the first sign of trouble. It means recognizing patterns of behavior that consistently leave you feeling drained, disrespected, or diminished, and then creating appropriate distance to protect your well-being. Sometimes withdrawal is temporary, stepping back from a friendship during a particularly toxic period in that person's life, taking a break from family gatherings when they become too stressful, or limiting contact with colleagues who consistently create drama. Sometimes withdrawal is permanent, ending relationships with people who repeatedly violate your boundaries, abuse your trust, or show no capacity for growth or change despite multiple opportunities. The key to strategic withdrawal is doing it cleanly and without drama. You don't need to announce your withdrawal, justify it extensively, or seek permission from others. You simply reduce your availability, limit your engagement, and redirect your energy toward more positive outlets. Learn to recognize the early warning signs that withdrawal might be necessary: feeling consistently drained after interactions with certain people, dreading phone calls or meetings with specific individuals, finding yourself making excuses to avoid certain social situations, or noticing that particular relationships require constant management and damage control. Strategic withdrawal is an act of self-respect. You're choosing to spend your limited time and energy on relationships and situations that support your growth and well-being, rather than those that consistently detract from them. Remember, you can't save everyone, fix everyone, or maintain peace with everyone. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and others is to create space and allow people to face the natural consequences of their behavior without your constant intervention. Or tolerance. Shield 7. Cultivate selective compassion. The seventh and final shield is learning to practice selective compassion, understanding the difference between healthy empathy and enabling behavior, and knowing when compassion should be offered and when it should be withheld for everyone's benefit. This might seem contradictory to Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes universal goodwill, but even Marcus Aurelius recognized that treating everyone identically isn't wisdom, it's naivety. True compassion sometimes requires firm boundaries and tough love, rather than endless tolerance and accommodation. Selective compassion means you feel genuine care and concern for others while maintaining clear boundaries about what you will and won't do to help them. You can feel sorry for someone's struggles without taking responsibility for solving all their problems. You can empathize with someone's pain without absorbing it as your own. The difference between healthy compassion and enabling is this: healthy compassion supports someone's growth and empowerment, while enabling supports their dysfunction and prevents their growth. When you consistently rescue people from the consequences of their poor choices, you rob them of opportunities to learn and grow. Practice what the Stoics called preferred indifference toward others' problems. This means you prefer that people don't suffer, but you don't make their suffering your primary concern if they're creating it through their own repeated poor choices and refusing to take responsibility for change. For example, you can feel compassion for a friend who's struggling financially while also refusing to constantly lend them money if they're unwilling to address their spending habits. You can empathize with a family member's loneliness while also declining to be their only source of social interaction if they refuse to make other connections. Selective compassion also means recognizing that some people use others' compassion as a weapon. They share their problems not to seek genuine help or support, but to manipulate others into taking responsibility for their well-being. They become professional victims who drain others' energy while refusing to take constructive action. Learn to offer compassion in ways that truly help rather than ways that simply make you feel good about being helpful. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is allow someone to experience the full consequences of their choices rather than cushioning them from reality. This doesn't make you cold or uncaring. It makes you discerning about where your compassion can actually make a positive difference versus where it might enable continued dysfunction. True compassion often requires courage. The courage to say no when saying yes would be harmful. The courage to let people struggle when struggling is what they need for growth. And the courage to maintain boundaries even when others try to guilt you into dropping them. Conclusion. The 7 Stoic shields: selective vulnerability, unshakable inner standards, detached observation, strategic reciprocity, emotional self-sufficiency, strategic withdrawal, and selective compassion don't make you cold, cynical, or unkind. They make you wise, strong, and truly effective in your relationships with others. The beautiful paradox is that when you protect yourself wisely, you become more capable of genuine love and generosity, not less. When you're not constantly drained by exploitative relationships, you have more energy to give to worthy people and causes. When you're not constantly worried about being taken advantage of, you can be more spontaneous and open in your interactions. The Stoics understood that strength and goodness aren't opposites, they're complementary. You can be kind without being weak, generous without being exploited, and compassionate without being taken advantage of. It simply requires wisdom, boundaries, and the courage to implement both. Remember that implementing these shields is a practice, not a destination. You'll make mistakes, sometimes giving too much trust too quickly, sometimes being too guarded when openness would be appropriate. That's normal and expected. The goal isn't perfection, but gradual improvement in your ability to navigate relationships wisely. Start with one shield that resonates most strongly with you. Practice it consistently until it becomes natural, then add another. Over time, these practices will transform not just how others treat you, but how you see yourself and what you believe you deserve in your relationships. The world needs good people who are also strong people. It needs individuals who can offer genuine kindness without being doormats, who can show real compassion without enabling dysfunction, and who can maintain open hearts while protecting themselves from those who would exploit that openness. You don't have to choose between being good and being strong. The Stoics showed us that true strength often manifests through wisdom, boundaries, and the courage to maintain both even when others pressure us to abandon them. Your goodness is not weakness if you combine it with wisdom. Your openness is not vulnerability if you combine it with discernment. Your compassion is not enabling if you combine it with boundaries. Be good, but be wise. Be open, but be selective. Be compassionate, but be strong. The world and everyone in it who truly deserves your goodness will be better for it. If this video has helped you understand how to protect yourself while remaining good-hearted, please give it a thumbs up so others can discover these powerful Stoic principles. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights on living with both strength and wisdom. Remember, you have the right to protect yourself, the wisdom to do it effectively, and the strength to maintain your goodness while you do. The Stoics knew this truth, and now so do you.